Autism is often described in terms of an autistic spectrum rather than a single condition. And on the autistic spectrum, if you imagine going from one side of the spectrum to the other, at one side you got people with autism with severe learning disabilities who severely struggle with communication, may be non-verbal, may rely upon visual supports such as showing people pictures to say I want to go to the toilet, or using symbols. So you've got that group there, severe learning disabilities, autism, severe communication problems, severe interaction problems. They wouldn't be making that would find it difficult to be looking at you, making eye contact with you. And then the other aspect of it is they've got problems in what we call flexibility of thought and behaviour. They behave in very rigid ways. And at this part of the spectrum, the rigidity and the inflexibility may mean they're doing things very repetitively. That if they play, when they play with cars in the same way every time they play with the car. As you move through the spectrum, you find that there's less learning disabilities. But the key points stay the same, that there's communication, social interaction and flexibility of thought difficulties. But by the time you reach what we call Asperger, which is usually moderate learning disabilities and unknown learning disabilities through to the most intelligent people in society, you find that the communication difficulties aren't as obvious as a child who struggles to make their needs known. But they're more subtle. It's about how they use language, and particularly about how they understand everyday social language. In interaction terms, where they may be for the person with autism, used to be called classic autism, there may be no interest in people, very little interest in people, or just want to use people to have their needs met. By the time you get to Asperger, for many people with Asperger, they want to be social. There's a real desire, but there isn't always understanding of what social means, or how to be social with people. And a difficulty in Asperger's syndrome is perhaps understanding other people, how you relate to them, and understanding all those rules in society that govern social interaction.
The commonest traits that I've noted and have presented to me, people have difficulty in understanding where other people are coming from who haven't got Asperger's syndrome. They also feel they can't get other people to understand them. They often say they feel like they've been plonked down on the wrong planet, or that aliens in their own world. Because they haven't learned social communication to the same level as the majority, bearing in mind we've all got different levels of social skill. They might not say the right thing at the right time. They might be the last one to pick up the joke because it takes them, they've got so much more to process, therefore it takes longer to process information. They'd be very uncomfortable in group discussions because it goes too fast. So it's very easy to ostracize them. They haven't always understood this is how you react in this situation, this is how you behave in that situation. Because they'll just learn how to do it in this situation. The situation changes and you can't always apply how you would behave in that situation to the next. So sometimes I have to learn things by rote, so it can be a bit stilted, a bit funny. You know, the common idea of the geek and the weirdo can often be applied to people who don't fit in socially. You don't have to have Asperger's. You know, you don't fit in socially. But if you've lived your whole life having difficulty in building those relationships, being rejected, being laughed at, being called names, you build up levels of anxiety every time you have to go out there. So high anxiety levels, another main issue they all say. Having your self-confidence has been knocked. Sometimes you even haven't had the opportunity to build up self-confidence or self-esteem. Lots of people will withdraw. What's the point of going out there? It's so scary. I get picked on. People look at me funny. They can build up a degree of paranoia. So it can be quite unpleasant socially. Other people with Asperger's have maybe a better degree of understanding, but still can't express and communicate that to other people, so they can still have issues. Someone wanting a diagnosis or querying if they have autism, an autistic spectrum condition, they can come into Open Door, and what we will do, they will have an appointment and they will do some screening tests. We use the Cambridge screening test. That just gives indications of is there traits there or isn't there. We'll also do a sensory profile because if they are affected by autism or similar conditions, that will show how they are affected. They will be given a report on our findings on that and a discussion as to how they want to proceed. Do they want to go for a full diagnosis? Do they want support? Or are they just happy with that explanation? If they do want to go for a full clinical diagnostic report, I will then put a referral through to the North East Lincolnshire adult ASC diagnostic team, who are based here at Open Door, and I'm part of that team as well. They will then get an appointment and go through the normal, you know, the diagnostic process that we have here. At the end of that diagnostic process, they will be given quite a large full report that it says exactly how they're affected by their Asperger's or high functioning autism, what type of support they're advised to have, whether it's from other agencies, whether it's from employers, anything like that. And they will signpost to somewhere, hopefully, where they can get that support, quite often back to Open Door. The support Open Door offers to people who have Asperger's or high functioning autism tends to be led by what they feel the need in their daily experience in the issues they have. Some people come to us because they feel they just may have it and they want a pathway into diagnosis. They may just want to have it explained to them why they are the way they are, why they've had the experiences they have. And when you explain all this to them, the lights go on, that's all they want. Oh, great, I now understand, I have a bit more understanding. I'm not mad and I'm not bad, that's just the way I am. Other people might really want a lot more support to help build up social techniques, social strategies, psychological coping strategies, strategies to cope with the sensory issues in the world around them. So there's lots of ways we can help. So they can have one-to-one support with that. They can come and have coaching sessions. They can come and join groups with other people who have Asperger's, so the like-minded people realise they're not there on their own, other people have the same type of experiences as they have. So there's a group work, there's social groups, there's one-to-one support to help them develop, there's employment support if they want that. And one of the other things Open Door does is actually promote Asperger's syndrome and high functioning autism to the general population. And one of the things we're very keen on is promoting them to employers, because there is just starting a trend across the world for actually looking to people, especially people who have a very, very useful interest or obsession, if you want, because they make very good workers and because they can process a lot more information than most of us. They get through a heck of a lot more work and are more productive than most people, so they can be very, very valuable workers, as long as the environment's adapted to suit them. So we also promote that, and we try to get this message across to people with Asperger's themselves, because their experiences led them to believe it's just negative, where there is a very, very positive side to having Asperger's syndrome as well.
How does my help improve somebody's life? I think the best way to give examples of that is within the Asperger group that I run. And at the beginning of every session, I always ask them, and what do you want to achieve from today? So it could be as diverse as, I want to do some role play, I want to understand this, I want to practice that. And we try to have a discussion within the group so that it's meaningful for everyone, yet meaningful for the individual as well. So during that 3 hours, there's a constant rapport going on, checking, am I delivering what you need, and are you able to understand what is being delivered? And then at the end, how can you apply what you've learned? So it's not just about coming to a space for 3 hours, learning a technique or receiving a tool or practicing something. It's about helping them to develop, to take that away and actually put it into their lives. How do I know that this works? This group is run every week, and we always start again the next week. What have you managed to bring into your life that you've learned either from the previous week or throughout the group, or so it's always ongoing assessment, but it's also self-assessment on their part. I have one young man who works with a support worker, and we communicate together, and if he gets in a situation, he thinks, what would June say? Which is really quite nice, and that was fed back by the support worker. And you can see changes as well. You can actually physically see changes when they can interact with each other. often from the Asperger situation, if somebody new comes into the group, it'll be everybody withdraws. We had somebody new come last week, and in a shorter space of time they will be able to interact with that person. And it's brilliant because they've got the knowledge and the skills that they've received over time, and they can help somebody else understand that actually being in a group isn't scary. It can be very rewarding and very beneficial, because although they're all different, they all have similarities as well.
I knew I was different because I did different things from other kids. Like, I walked weird, and I walked on my tiptoes, and people used to make fun of me for it. And I think I thought differently from them, and they didn't understand what I was saying. I panicked over really small things, like if my mum was late picking me up from school, and things that my friends the same age didn't really think about. Like when we lost the house keys, I had a massive panic attack about that, and I was only like 6. I thought we would never go in the house again. And I panicked when the trains were cancelled once, and I was only like 7 or something. I just panicked over everything, even when I was little. So, like, my mum thought that was kind of weird. They made fun of me for being different. They made fun of me just for things I said. They were just not nice. They left me out of everything and talked bad about me and made fun of how I walked and acted, and I was just really different from them. I started getting panic attacks, and then I was just really vulnerable to getting panic attacks again. And then the anxiety got worse, and I couldn't go out of the house, or I got scared of talking to people, or being on the phone, or and I was scared of like going to the doctors and outside and everything. It affected my life because I just couldn't do anything anymore. I was just stuck in my room all day. I didn't even want to leave my room most of the time. It was just horrible, really depressing. I didn't get any fresh air or any socialization, and it just made it so much worse. But like at the time, I just thought avoiding it would make it better, but it just made it worse. They've helped me with day-to-day things like shopping, transport, communicating, even just going out. They've helped me get into colour by coming with me on the open days and interviews, which would have been a lot harder on my own. They've helped me with my anxiety by teaching me breathing techniques and changing my thoughts when I'm having a panic attack. And they've given me a lot of emotional support, which has helped my depression and anxiety a lot. Before open door, I couldn't even leave the house. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was scared of pretty much everything. And now, just over this year, I've been attending college, which I could never have done before. I can go out by myself, I can shop, and I've been to the Netherlands on my own, on the ferry overnight a couple of times, and I've been able to talk to people a lot more easier now, and I'm not scared of those things anymore.
If you feel you may have Asperger's syndrome, or you have autism or traits of it, or you feel someone you know does, or a family member, you can always come into Open Door. We have a drop-in centre. It's open 5 days a week, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6:30, and you can ask about it and someone will give you some advice. To make a referral into the service, the individual themselves has to do that or give their permission for that to occur. We're talking about adults here, so we need their permission. So you can walk in through the door, ask for help. You can phone up on 01472 722009 and ask to speak to someone about that. You can go to your GP and discuss this with your GP. You feel you may have Asperger's syndrome, and explain why you feel you may have Asperger's syndrome or traits, and the GP can refer you through to us. Or if you're already dealing with maybe a mental health professional, you can say you can discuss that with them. Or maybe social services, you can discuss it with them. They can all refer you into Open Door if you want to. But you can walk in any time and ask for help for that, and we'll advise you accordingly.